Hello, welcome back. Sorry about everyone's ears, that was a little loud. This is Nothing and Everything, a show that doesn't have a theme song because I'm lazy. And I'm joined today by...
Oh, me. Well, not really me, more like...
Digital Kyle.
Russell's phone. Yeah.
It's Russell's phone looped through the Audacity program on my computer. Kyle, how are you?
I'm alright.
Just alright?
Well, I mean, I'm not face down in a ditch somewhere, and so I think that is a really high point for my week.
You know what?
That normally tends to happen.
Yeah, face down in a ditch. Usually, you know what? We are recording on a Thursday. That is a big Thursday thing. It's like Friday morning, you're like, fuck, another ditch.
Yeah, I mean, you know, to add on top of things, like the fact that I'm not dead face down in a ditch is pretty monumental.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a game changing move right there. Oh,
yeah,
hey,
I know.
We have a sponsor this week.
Who is it?
It's Hollywood Casting and Film Chicago. That's our sponsor. We're going to talk about them in a little bit after we get done with some of our movie news stuff and before we get into our main topic. Between those two segments, we're going to talk about them and why they're a sponsor.
You're going to talk about them because...
And Kyle's going to add color commentary. Have you ever seen Dodgeball, Kyle?
Yeah.
You know the other announcer who's like, that's rad.
Jason Bateman?
Yeah, Wayne? Or no, Cotton. No, he's Wayne McKnight.
No, Cotton McKnight was the guy from Office Space.
Oh, Gary Cole.
You could do that. That'd be great.
Yeah, Gary Cole.
Yeah, I'm the Jason Bateman guy, like Pepper Brooks or something.
Oh, it's
like
Pepper
that.
Brooks.
It's Pepper something. I don't know, but Pepper needs new shorts, though. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, those are pretty whack. But
yeah, that's some good, clean family fun right there, Cotton.
That it is. That's rad. If for those of you who don't understand that really random Dodgeball reference, watch Dodgeball, then you'll get what we were talking about. But Kyle, besides not being dead, have you started watching Watchmen on HBO?
No,
Kyle,
see, Russell has given me his
passwords.
Yeah, but I feel like I don't know. I don't want to be a mooch though.
Kyle, here's what's going to happen. Watchmen's ending next week or in 2 weeks. You're going to come back on before the Watchmen is over, and we're going to do a Watchmen episode. So you're going to have 9 hours of TV to catch up on.
Honestly, I love doing that. I used to be a very traditional with TV. I watch every, if it's a show I like, I watch every episode each week it comes out. But nowadays, with the advent of excuse me, I just burped. With
streaming,
Netflix and streaming websites, I much prefer
to. Kyle, did you just say Netflix? That's a different kind of website.
Sweet, royalty-free, unsuable Netflix.
This week's sponsor, Netflix. It's not what you think it is. It's Netflix.
Yeah, that's my $1 million pornography website idea, Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
No, Netflix, Internetflix. But I much prefer waiting for the season of whatever show I would like to watch to end, and then, or be close to ending, and then watch it. The same thing kind of happened with Game of Thrones before they apparently took a nosedive off a cliff in the last season. I purposely wanted to wait till the show was over before watching it.
You're not the only one of my friends who did that approach, but a few of my other friends who were going with that approach actually never watched it because the show decided to say, you know what, character development, story building, plot arcs, who needs any of that bullshit? Let's just give them a fucking dragon.
Yeah, so I saw a meme that perfectly illustrated what happened, and so it was like a picture of a maze, and there was a red line going through the maze, and that was labeled George R.R. Martin. And then there was a blue line that, and so the red line like stopped halfway through, and then there was a blue line that just went over all the lines and out of the maze, and that was last season of Game of Thrones.
You know, that is so accurate. Like,
yeah, and you know, as an add-on to that, if I were to engage with Game of Thrones at all, I think I would much rather prefer to read the books. Because I need a book to read.
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie. I audiobooked all of Game of Thrones because they're written in POV chapters. So it can be a little difficult to follow if you're not used to reading POV. Yeah,
I've read Aragon. Aragon
is POV.
POV chapters, just like Game of I should say Aragon is like Game of Thrones, because I think Game of Thrones was written before Aragon. But it's the same concept.
Yeah. But Aragon's fantastic. I've read all those, actually. Those are incredible.
I really like Aragon, but this is my one critique of it, is that Aragon is basically, what's the word? Like, high fantasy version of Star Wars. Because it's an orphan kid who lives on a farm. His uncle's, not his aunt and uncle, just his uncle
gets killed.
Is killed by an evil empire, and there's like an evil like sorcerer's apprentice kind of villain, and he has to travel a great distance to become a part of the resistance, and then he meets an old wise mentor, and blah. And I don't want to go any further because like it is a really good read, and you know I don't want to give out any spoilers. But yeah, it's definitely worth a read, though.
Yeah, the first one is definitely A New Hope, but then from there, because there's like 4 books in the Aragon.
The first one is definitely
until the end,
like you said,
because it's more complex than Star Wars, and I do agree there's a huge inspiration there. But they are very well done books.
Yeah, they are. They focus a lot more on, or the writer focuses a lot more on the politics of an empire being evil. Yeah. And that's kind of a side note. That's one of the reasons why I think that the prequels for Star Wars are becoming a lot more popular nowadays. Yeah, they're goofy. Yeah, they have weird dialogue and all that kind of stuff, but like we actually get to see like the politics of
how the universe works.
Or the Republic, but
oh Jesus Christ, Kyle!
Excuse me, I'm drinking a soda, sweet royalty-free, non-suable, tasty soda right now.
Crampa-Cola?
What?
Crampa-Cola?
Yeah, Crampa-Cola. Bepsis.
Ooh, yummy Bepsis.
But anyway, yeah, that's why another reason why I think that the Star Wars prequels are starting to get like more popular nowadays, because you get to see the politics and lore of everything.
Definitely, and I think that is something people really, really do want. And yeah, there's always the goofy like midichlorian stuff and all the other like goofiness that goes along with the prequels.
Okay, the midichlorians are not the Force. They give you the ability to communicate with the Force. All right?
Yeah.
that is a stereotype, and I resent that.
Kyle, here's the next question. Would you go to the Disneyland Star Wars thing and build your own lightsaber?
Oh, hell yeah.
Same.
Oh, totally. Like, Disney is just in general, for me, kind of like a controversial like topic for me.
In an empire?
Yeah, just for a whole myriad of reasons that I can give. But, like, in order to make my own lightsaber, I would sell out in a second.
Oh, same. Like, I have my own critiques of Disney. Not that I hate them, partially because I'm in the film industry, and Disney, give me a job if you want to give me a job. But, yeah, no, I do agree with that. There's, like, it is, like, a weird, touchy topic, but also, yo, bro, Disney's the best. I'll get a face tattoo of Disney to give me a lightsaber. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and on top of it, I've already sort of made my own lightsaber when I was in. Russell, you remember this, and I guess this is my own plug-in for today. I made
the video with Keith.
Yeah, a Star Wars movie with my friend, or I should say our mutual friend, who also went to high school with us, and like me and him actually made like our own DIY lightsaber props. I don't know if I still have mine. It looks like garbage, but like I was so proud of it when I made it.
That video's fire. If I can find it before I upload this, I will upload it into the links to see if I can find it.
Yeah, so the channel for it, this is for
link it to me and I'll post it.
Okay. Can I say it now?
Yeah, no. I'm just telling you also do that.
Yeah, so the name, I can't remember what the name of the specific video is. We've got maybe about 5 on our channel, but the channel's name, and I'm not making this up, real lack of creativity, it's Movie Crew 17, all one word, and it's 17, not like the spelling.
Yeah, it's just like literally
one. Number 7.
Okay.
And yeah, I don't know, Russell. Maybe you should take a look at it, not to make fun of it like everyone else did in high school.
But I'll give it an actual look over as a film person.
Yeah, because Keith, who is I'm the skinny white dude, and Keith is the black dude. Yeah, he did like all of the editing, and then we've kind of fallen out of touch. But there was another person who did just the camera work on it too, and like it's really like looking back on it, like for 16-year-olds, it's really good editing, but not like camera editing, like visual effects editing.
Yeah, I will look at it. I remember you guys doing this because Keith actually, not that anyone cares about this, but Keith actually sat next to me in computer. We had like a computer science building course. I think junior, senior year of high school, and Keith sat next to me. It's the same year we had Mr. Dolan's class. Was that senior year?
Yeah, that was.
Okay, so senior year, Keith sat next to me, and Brennan, I'm going to say his last name, Brennan Busto sat on the other side of me. So that was a fun class. Shout out to both of them. But yeah, that thing, Keith told me about it and showed me screenshots on his phone, and I'm like, dude, that's pretty sick.
Yeah. And he he not only did he do the lightsaber effects, but he also did a crawl too, at the beginning of virtually every Star Wars film.
Yeah, it was yeah, I remember him talking about that. So I will 1,000,000% link that into the description of this podcast.
Yeah, and so everyone listening, feedback would be pretty cool.
I will definitely link it in there under your name. But yeah,
sweet.
definitely positive feedback is the key. Or just feedback in general, because sometimes negative feedback is the best teacher.
Yeah.
Being a master student, I do know that from my professors telling me harsh realities, the harsh truths that you don't want to hear, but sometimes need to.
Yeah, exactly.
But Watchmen, you should watch it. It's fantastic. Use my HBO, or we'll just sit down for 8 hours and watch it together, Kyle.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that would be a really good idea.
P.S. I'm always
Big
Big Spoon.
On Sunday, because where we work is closed on Sunday, so that would be cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah,
Hundo P.
Anyway,
Jesus Christ, what were we talking about before that whole thing?
I don't know, man. You might as well ask me, what did the lost books of the Bible talk about?
Oh, that it all started with Lord Xenu. Duh. Dude, Kyle, no-brainers.
Lord
Come on.
Xenu?
Yeah. High Lord Xenu put us here. The Scientologists, they were the closest, guys. Just saying. Tom Cruise, please don't come to my house and eat me.
Yeah, really, same. Okay, so it was, how are you doing? I'm not dead in a ditch somewhere.
Oh, yeah, then this. But yeah, so apart from not watching Watchmen yet, Kyle, what have you watched recently or read recently or consumed media-wise, whether it be books or anything?
Well, so going, I guess you can tell where my mind is for today. I'm watching Star Wars Rebels right now. And but like I'm not just watching it. I'm watching like for the past maybe like few weeks. I've been watching like all of the Star Wars stuff. I watched episodes 1 and 2, and then the Clone Wars, and then episode 3, and now I'm on Rebels, and I want to watch the rest after it, ending at episode 6. But yeah, Rebels is pretty dope. I mean, like for real though. Being serious, it is animated, and it is a Disney-owned idea, whereas like the Clone Wars, I think
that was before the Disney acquisition.
Yeah, of course it's LucasArts, but I think it was LucasArts in partnership with Warner Brothers, because it aired on Cartoon Network, and I think Warner Brothers owns Cartoon Network.
Wait, Time Warner owns Cartoon Network?
No, Warner Brothers.
Time Warner owns Warner Brothers.
Oh, so yeah, then I guess Time Warner owns. But I don't know. That's I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But I do find it a little too convenient that like all of Warner Brother properties you've ever heard of got aired on Cartoon Network.
That is true. I've never even thought about that.
I think Warner Brothers either owns Hanna-Barbera or is in partnership with Hanna-Barbera.
Okay. What is your opinion of the Hanna-Barbera comics? I just want to know.
The comics,
or not the comics, the cartoons. Sorry.
Well, the only 2 cartoons of Hanna-Barbera I actually like followed religiously are Tom and Jerry, like the classic Tom and Jerry, and oh my God, Scooby-Doo. The Tom and Jerry stuff, like I have and always will love their slapstick. But the thing that's like very distracting about the original Tom and Jerry is that it is a product of the times, and a lot of their non-slapstick humor can and will be extremely racist.
Wait, really?
Yeah, and like the thing is that all the Tom and Jerry cartoons you see on on television nowadays, all of those racist jokes have been
like removed.
Cut out. There was one scene, and it's I can't remember what episode, but it's a very it's the Tom and Jerry episode where Jerry's like nephew, the little gray mouse, is introduced as a character.
Oh, and yeah, that's like a famous character.
Yeah, and like it's a really famous episode, but and what happens is that Tom chases Jerry and his nephew. I think his name is oh God, it's like a cute name or something like that. I can't remember, but Tom chases the 2 of them into a closet, and Tom is like beating down the door trying to get in, and Jerry, he trips over like a tiny little like tin of like black shoe polish.
Yeah.
And so
oh God, I know where this is going.
Yeah, and so in order to fool Tom, Nibbles, that's his name, Nibbles, I think, they rub the shoe polish all over their butt or all over their face and then exit the closet in blackface.
Oh God damn it.
Like, and then this is also one of the few times where like, either of them have speaking roles, and Jerry was speaking like in the really racist
black impression.
I guess Ebonics black southern drawl, if that's accurate. I'm like, and honest to God, I lost my shit when I was watching that, because like it was just so horribly racist that I was
and unexpected.
Yeah, it was so unexpected, and for the audiences watching back then, the joke was, oh wow, yeah, that's totally the black people,
Yeah.
But as a viewer, like, and as an adult viewer today, I was laughing at it simply because it was just so like damn racist.
Yeah.
And I was laughing so hard because like I was in my room, my sister came into the room and was like, Kyle, are you okay? Are you crying or something? I'm like, no, I'm laughing at how horribly racist this is.
Yeah, honestly, like there's been a few things like that. Like when you realize one of the original like Steamboat Mickey cartoons, there's like people in blackface and they're like having these stereotypes. And I took a class in college. My undergrad is in film production, and there was a class we were watching on like the history of like cartoons, and that aired, and me and one of my other buddies like just kind of like not intentionally but like burst out like, oh my god, no way. And then people kind of looked at us and were like, dude, objectively speaking, that's ridiculous, because all of you have a Mickey Mouse on your Apple Watch. Little did you know Mickey Mouse is a racist asshole.
Yeah, I know. And this is high school psychology class coming through here, but I remember learning in that class that a lot of the times laughter is the response we get when we don't know how to feel about
and
something.
You're just like, uncomfortable, and you're like, that's so true.
Discomfort. There we go.
Yeah, because like we were just sitting in this class in dead silence, and that comes on, and I just started laughing, and I was like, I feel so bad because it's not like funny, like you're like, ha ha ha, that's a good crack, but it's more like, oh my god,
how low could they have sunk?
Yeah, it's almost like when you watch one of those like YouTube compilation videos, and it's like the fail armory videos, and one of them is like a car exploding or like some crazy shit, and you just start dying laughing. But you're like, objectively, that's not funny. But like, you just don't know how to react. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And another side note, that's why, technically speaking, I like Looney Tunes better than Tom and Jerry, because
they're not racist.
So Looney Tunes before not like 1952 or something like that. Yeah, they had tendencies to be like extremely racist. But like from 1952 onwards, like I guess you could say the quote unquote golden age of Looney Tunes. It was. I mean, sure, there wasn't that great of like diversity in it, but it also wasn't like racist.
Yeah.
The verbal jokes were honestly brilliant. The slapstick was hilarious. But yeah. There's also Scooby Doo. That is my favorite. My one favorite. Hanna-Barbera property too, because they're just awesome.
Yep. Sorry, I just sprayed my mouth with one of those Listerine mouth sprays, like pepper spray things.
Oh, so you just let me talk to myself like an asshole for like 10 minutes? That's cool.
So, yeah, exactly. And what we learned from this is Kyle's into racist cartoons. Everyone tweet at Kyle. He's into racist cartoons.
Yes, I am into racist cartoons.
Yeah, when they read this out in court, they're going to be like, so Mr. Bartolini, you are into racist cartoons. You're like, well, it was a joke, and at the time, and they'd be like, really though, Kyle? And you're like, I'm not racist. And they'd be like, yeah, lock this kid up.
What's going to happen, it's going to be like, Mr. Bartolini, we have definitive proof that you are prejudiced. We will have your search history, and most of them are very racist cartoons. And I'm going to be like, okay, yeah, you got me. I'm going to give up.
It's like,
I'm already dug in a hole, and I'm not going to dig myself further. But, like, seriously, though, like, if you, like, honestly, if you take away all those racist jokes, and, thankfully, they're very infrequent, though.
But the animation is really good.
Yeah, the animation is amazing. The slapstick has, like, even, like on Boomerang today, when they show the old Tom and Jerry cartoons, the slapstick holds up really well.
Tom and Jerry also influenced a big part of another show.
What was that?
The Simpsons, Itchy and Scratchy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's like an entire part of a different TV show. That's how big Tom and Jerry is, where they've like put their mark so deeply into like what cartoons are, what like comedy is, what slapstick is, that other shows have made their alternate versions of it because it's so it just is kind of timeless in that way.
Yeah, it really is.
But yeah, speaking of that, what do you think of the new Cats movie coming out?
I think that movie's going to give me nightmares if I watch it, honestly.
And why does everyone look rubbery and weird? And, like, it looks like a furry's wet dream, if I'm going to be honest.
It does. It really does.
For those of you out there who don't know what a furry is, let me explain. Furries are a group of people. This isn't meant to be offensive in any way. I'm serious. If anyone out there is a furry listening,
email me, and I'd love to talk. Kyle and I would love to talk to you on this podcast. But being a furry is like this thing where you dress up in a mascot costume, and like it's like your alternate identity. It's like being Batman, but you're a furry mascot. And then it's like a social thing, but also from what I've heard, there's a sexual component to it, like where you have like sex in the costume, which I have a bunch of questions about. 1, technique. 2, logistics. 3, where, 4, why. So
like, here's the thing: is that like, okay, you're gonna spend like thousands of dollars on this like really hyper advanced furry suit, but like, would you really want? Like, if you want to, like...
The juice is there.
Actually do stuff with it, wouldn't you have to, like, cut out holes in this extremely expensive suit to do it?
See, I have questions. Someone, please, for the love of God, text me, call me. If you know anything about furries, I would love to know more. Like, not
please
as a joke.
Us.
Like, yeah, actually educate us, because we could be completely wrong.
Yeah.
We could be the ones who are really in the furry costumes. They're the ones who are freed. It's like the Matrix, but a mascot. Where the hell? Oh yeah, Cats, the movie. It looks like shit.
Yeah.
Did you see The Irishman on Netflix, Kyle?
No, I haven't.
It's like 4 hours long. I've seen the beginning of it. It is quite good. It's just like it's like all of Martin Scorsese's kind of films and filmisms boiled into one film.
Well, is it directed by Martin Scorsese?
Yeah.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
It is. And they digitally de-age Robert De Niro and Al Pacino.
Yeah, I knew that. And I also knew that's like legit 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, you're getting towards Return of the King before special features territory.
Yeah, basically.
But what was it? I was going to say something about a thing. Oh, that's what Kyle was up to. Recently, I've been watching. I rewatched the Watchmen movie by Zack Snyder, and I was rereading the graphic novel because of the show being out and me getting back into my Watchmenism stuff. I forgot how actually good that movie is.
Yeah, it is.
The only thing is there's no squid. If there was a squid, it'd be 1-to-1.
Yeah, but honestly, I'm glad that the squid wasn't in it. I thought that the quote-unquote practical joke in the movie was not only was it a lot better than the book, but like it also makes more sense than the book.
Yeah. The show.
So, for those of you who don't know, the
spoilers.
Yeah. So in the book, the bad guy's goal is to save the world by tricking it into thinking that it's like in danger, and if it's in danger, then the Soviet Union and the United States will like actually form an alliance and be friendly with each other. And in the book, the quote-unquote practical joke to fool everyone was that the bad guy genetically engineered a gigantic, like 500-foot tall squid that teleported in the middle of New York City and caused like the destruction of the entire city. In the movie, the practical joke was that the bad guy convinced everyone that Dr. Manhattan had went crazy
and blew up the city
and destroyed the city. And because like it's so well set up in the book, Dr. Manhattan exiles himself to Mars, so it would make sense that he has no value for human life and that he would want to seek revenge of some kind on the world,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does make a lot of sense. And you know what? In the show on HBO, they do talk about the squid because it's in the chronology of the show. Mm. But the way they do it in the show makes sense, and you never see the actual attack. You see like the aftermath and everything, and they describe it. It does actually. They justify it, and like if it's one of those like with your suspended disbelief. It's one of those, okay, give it to him. It makes sense in the context of what this is. But also, apart from that, what I was able to do is I went to a special like press screening where they make you turn your phone off and like they're really intense and they make you show your ID for 1917, the new movie by Sam Mendes, directed by Sam Mendes. It's about his grandfather, great-grandfather, and cinematography by Roger Deakins. It's about World War One, and it's all shot to look like it's one shot. I can't say anything.
Birdman.
Yeah, like Birdman. That Alejandro G. Iñárritu and Emmanuel Lubitsky did a couple years ago, with Michael Keaton as like the lead role. But it, 1917 is incredible. I had to like do a thing where I can't talk about a lot of the movie, because like a press screening. But all I will say is it is powerful. The whole film has you on the tip of your like toes and like the edge of your seat the whole time. You feel like you have a GoPro and you're just sort of watching two people and you're in the action. And it is just so well done. I can't say enough good things. I wish I could talk about it in full, but when it comes out, Kyle and I will go see it. Just like we'll go see Star Wars and talk about it for the show. Would you want to go see Star Wars and Cats as a double feature when they come out? Because I think they come out the same day.
Yeah. It would really depend on what day because, of
The holidays.
actual employment, unfortunately.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so that's a thing that I've been up to or something. But Kyle, what is... oh, wait, let me talk about Hollywood casting and film. Oh, hey guys, it's me, Russell, your host. You know me. You listen to me all the time. Or maybe you don't, and this is your first time here. Welcome. Kyle's also here. This isn't a separate recording. I just switched the cadence of my voice for this part to make it seem different. Our sponsor this week is Hollywood Casting and Film. They have a studio in LA. They have a studio now coming to Chicago. And what Hollywood Casting and Film does is they connect actors with directors and other filmmakers to basically facilitate the meeting of talent in front of the camera and behind the camera. And if you go to Hollywood Casting and Film's website, which will be linked in the podcast, you can learn more there. It's a great service. If you live in LA, definitely check it out because it's in your city. And if you're from the Chicagoland area and you're listening to me because you know me from Chicago or you just found me, thank you. Check it out if you're an actor or filmmaker or aspiring to be one or both of those things. So, yeah, definitely. Thanks for sponsoring the show. We're very grateful to have you here. I know Kyle is as well. Right, Kyle?
Yeah, thank you very much, Hollywood casting
and film.
Film, yeah, there we go. I was
Kyle,
totally paying attention, I promise.
That's what Kyle brings to the table, attentiveness.
But no, in all seriousness, though, thank you.
But yeah,
sponsoring the show.
Yes. And on to our main topic. Okay, that was a transformer noise. Wasn't that pretty cool?
No, it's more. It has to be more like
that,
or like if they're transforming into a vehicle.
That was actually pretty good. You know what? The first Transformers movie was solid. I'm not gonna lie. But then the rest of them are just a bunch of jagged metal hitting each other. It's like a Slipknot concert.
Yeah, it was. No, it actually was a solid movie. Because first of all, I don't like those other movies. But I actually watched the original Transformers show, and those movies. Oh, by the way, this is not the main topic. We're still way off topic.
Yeah, we're way off topic.
But the plots of the movies are actually based on individual episodes.
Yes.
Yeah. So in the first movie, the Allspark was actually inspired by a concept in the show where basically the Decepticons' evil plan was to harness Energon, which was their lifeblood, and the way they would store those in cubes. So that's where the Allspark idea came from. But then in, I think, the second movie, Revenge of the Fallen or something like that, the evil plot was to harvest the sun. Well, that was in one of the very first episodes of the TV show was Megatron's plan to harvest the sun. And did you know that the guy who played as Megatron in the TV show plays as Fred in the Scooby-Doo show, the original Scooby-Doo show?
Really?
Yeah, Frank Welker, that's his
name.
Damn.
Yeah, Kyle's
Yeah,
a huge cartoon fan for everyone out there.
Yeah, like legit, like pretty much all the shows I watch, I watch them like on like some kind of streaming service, and I actually like take a look at the cast. Like I pause the thing to look at the cast at the end.
You're like me with like live action films.
Yeah,
Kyle's big time film buff, passionate film fan. But yeah, no, they're fantastic. I actually I started watching Voltron on Netflix.
Oh my god, I love that show so much.
I just started it. It's really good. So next time we talk, I'll probably be through the whole thing because it's really short.
Okay, yeah.
But the animation style is really cool.
Yeah, it's so Voltron. So for anyone who has watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, there were the two creators. Their names are Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So they were the two creators, and then there was like a whole staff of of the other writers who were like hired for the show. Well, Voltron is written by those other staff members, like Tim Hedrick, Joaquim Dos Santos. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but it's almost the exact same writing team as Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it is in fact the same animation studio for Avatar: The Last Airbender. So
I
that's
did know
what
that.
drew me to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is very well done.
It really is. And the fight scenes are like top notch. Like they're like for real.
Yeah, no, they're really, really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I do 100% recommend that everyone, if you like cartoons or you just have like this like 80s nostalgia, I guess, or 90s nostalgia that I don't remember because I wasn't born in the 80s. I was born in the 90s, and I mean, I remember the 1990s, I guess, but there's a lot of watching cartoons for me. But if you like that kind of thing, or you have never seen it and you want to get into kind of like a deeper cut cartoon, go for it. It's really good. And it's something on Netflix, and if you have Netflix, technically speaking, it's kind of like you're already paying for it, so why not watch it? But speaking of streaming services and the fact that streaming services are now reinventing how television works, where they announce or release an episode once a week, thanks streaming services. That's real fucking clutch. Let's talk about the thing that we're going to talk about for this episode.
Yeah, it's the Mandalorian. As of this recording, we have only watched like the first 3 episodes. I think right now there's like 5 episodes out. We just haven't seen those 2 yet.
I think there's 4. There's 4 out. We've only seen the first 3.
Oh, okay. So we're not that far behind, but yeah, like I honestly had very low expectations for the show because,
but it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Again, just my concerns over Disney. I was a little concerned that this show was like going to be very cash grabby, and
I'm selling out for it. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, it really it is so good. So, fun fact. So the writer of the show is Jon Favreau. He's not only he's a very good actor, but an even more famous director. He directed Iron Man. He directed
Elf,
and a whole bunch of other things I can't think of off the top of my head.
The movie Chef. He's in a lot of stuff. He does a lot of producing as well. Yeah,
definitely. So Jon Favreau, Phil Russell, I think you told me this. First of all, Jon Favreau wrote this like when he was in college.
Yeah, forever. That's what I've heard. I heard he wrote this forever ago.
Yeah, and when the original script wasn't a Star Wars thing, it was just a space bounty hunter thing. Do I have that correct?
Yeah, this is what I've heard. I mean, I don't know Jon Favreau, but this is just what I've heard. But yeah, so Kyle's on the right path.
Yeah. Okay. So one of the things I think is absolutely awesome. So like I said, Star Wars: The Clone Wars is one of my favorite like animated shows. And in the show, there's a story arc where the planet Mandalore is it's revealed to be undergoing great reforms, specifically in the context of it going from like a warrior Spartan-like planet to a peaceful one. But there's one group of Mandalorians called the Death Watch who are trying to like make Mandalore a militarized state again. And the leader of the Death Watch is a guy. His name is Pre Vizsla, like Pre, and then his last name is Vizsla. Jon Favreau played as Pre Vizsla in that show, and so I just think that's awesome because Jon Favreau. First of all, there's a implication that he worked to some degree with George Lucas because George Lucas executively produced the Clone Wars and had a creative influence on it. And on top of that, he's already played a Mandalorian along the wishes of whoever wrote that episode, and which is considered to be canon. So I really love how this show, The Mandalorian,
stays like true to it.
Yeah, it really does.
But yeah, so let's get... No, it's all good. So let's get into what the show is about. So I'll take the part of the first episode, then you pick up where I leave off, okay?
Okay, yeah.
So it starts off, it's like a cold open, figuratively and literally, because it's on an ice planet. Ha ha ha. And...
Shut up, Russell. Just shut up.
Okay, thank you. So it has this opening of essentially a job for the Mandalorian. So he lands on this planet and goes to this bar, cantina, igloo thing where another guy's getting the shit kicked out of him. And the Mandalorian basically goes in there, breaks up the fight, slices a guy in half with the door, which is pretty badass. And then he turns to the person who's going to get the shit kicked out of him. He's like, well, I saved you from that shit kicking, but now I'm going to take you in because I got to you. So you can see that he's basically, I guess he'll save someone just so he can get the reward. So kind of a morally gray character here. And then him and the bounty escape by almost getting eaten by this alien creature that comes out of the ice, which is this big walrus type dragon thing. Super, super cool design, by the way. So that happens, and then the dude who he has as the bounty gets into the ship with him as kind of his prisoner, but looks around, tries to escape, and the Mandalorian freezes him in carbonite, which Kyle knows about, and will explain why carbonite is interesting to have in this show. Kyle, go for it.
Okay, so I have two things to say. First of all, not the Mandalorian, but the guy who is the bounty, the guy he's capturing, because of his dialogue, he has proven that the Star Wars Christmas special is technically speaking canon. Because there was a reference, for those of you who don't know, the Star Wars Christmas special revolved around the idea that Chewbacca had to get home to Kashyyyk for a holiday called Life Day, which is essentially
Christmas.
The intergalactic version of Christmas. And the guy that the Mandalorian was kidnapping was like, hey man, I suppose you don't want to do this. I need to get home to my family for Life Day or something like that.
Yeah, it's one of those, when he said that, Kyle and I both turned to each other that's a deep cut reference to something people hate.
Yeah, it is. But anyway, so back to the carbonite thing. So we all know that in Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, Han Solo, or Darth Vader, wants to freeze Luke Skywalker in carbonite because that way he can deliver Luke to the Emperor, and then hopefully Luke is alive, and then the Emperor can recruit him. But as we all know, Darth Vader tests the process on Han Solo to see if or if not the freezing process would kill the victim. Well, here's the thing. In Star Wars: The Clone Wars, there was an episode where Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka is Anakin's Padawan.
Yeah.
They had to break into a prison to save a Jedi, but this prison is considered to be impenetrable, and there are scanners at every entrance that scan for life forms, because the whole facility is operated by droids, and the only life forms there are supposed to be the prisoners. So what Anakin just thinks of is he thinks of to freeze everyone in carbonite in order to get past the sensors, and then have R2-D2 push all the carbonite stuff through the doors. Yeah. So if you really think about it, Darth Vader already knew, or sort of knew, that carbonite would not kill someone, and just the idea in general, he got it because he used that tactic in the Clone Wars.
Yeah, to break in. Which is just a really cool tie-in that he just already was let's see if it works. He just wanted to free someone.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. That's one of the reasons why I like not only the Clone Wars but also Rebels so much, because they're just so faithful to both source materials, the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. And it really just makes the whole experience that much more engaging.
For sure. And The Mandalorian, I think with comments like that, the Life Day thing, it really does kind of add itself into that caliber Star Wars things, because it adds to the universe. So once the Mandalorian gets to the planet with his bounties on, he meets up with Carl Weathers, who's his mentor, which I find hilarious. That's Carl Weathers, but
yeah.
So basically, he meets up with Carl Weathers, and Carl Weathers is like, "Here's your money. I can only pay you half because I'm kind of a shady character." And then he's like, "You need to go see Werner Herzog because there's this thing you got to do." And then he's like, "Okay." And then he goes to see Werner Herzog, who, if you guys don't know who that is, look up who Werner Herzog is.
I kind of think it's hilarious that Werner Herzog, that could be a Star Wars name.
Yeah, it could be. The famous director Werner Herzog, who's also in Rick and Morty for some inexplicable reason. He plays the guy who needs the penis heart.
I'm gonna be honest. I have no idea what you're talking about. I actually don't. I haven't really seen Rick and Morty.
Oh, that's in one of the few episodes. I haven't seen every episode of Rick and Morty, but it's one of the episodes I've seen. And Werner Herzog is the special guest character, and he needs one of the characters' penises as a heart. And I'm like, how'd they get Werner Herzog to do this? How much money did they have to pay him? I feel like they went to his office somewhere in Germany, and he was like, "Hello, come in." And then that's kind of like Alan Rickman, but he's like, "Yes, I will do this." I can't do a Werner Herzog impression, but
yes, I will do this for a fee.
That is, yeah, Kyle's good. He'll do that. But they're like, "Werner, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a check, and we're gonna write a 9, and we're just gonna keep writing zeros until you say the word yes." And I think he was sitting there for a while.
Oh, I was about to say, no, I don't think so. See, it's more of the principle. So Werner Herzog, we're going to write the number 9 on this check. Okay, I'll do it. Okay.
That was easier than we thought. He's like, "Yes, it was."
Yes, it was.
But
I like doing movies.
Thank you. That made me laugh.
If Werner Herzog is watching or listening to us for whatever reason, I just want to say I love you.
Yeah, I love you. And this is not meant to be mean.
Don't come kill me in my house because you look like a very intimidating man.
Oh, he looks so intimidating. He has a mask.
I'm sure he's a teddy bear, though.
Yeah, teddy bear who loves filming in celluloid still. Werner, you crazy monster. Film digitally, it's so much easier. But so yeah, so
okay,
he's
so
like,
back to the topic at hand.
Yeah, so he's like, "I need you to grab this thing," and the Mandalorian's like, "Got it." It's a shitload of Beskar, which is this metal from Mandalore, their planet, that makes super strong armor that can resist a lightsaber for a short amount of time, blaster bolts. So essentially makes him bulletproof and lightsaber resistant. And it's incredibly valuable, and it's from the home planet Mandalore, which in the context of the show sounds like the planet was robbed of its metal. So the Mandalorian, when he sees this, is like, "Hell yeah, I'll do this." So he goes to a planet and he gets attacked by this blurg, and then Mickey Rourke shows up, who's this little pig dude who's like...
No, it's Nick Nolte.
It's Nick Nolte, yeah, not Mickey Rourke, sorry. I keep getting them confused. But he's like, "I have spoken. you have to ride a blurg. And then the Mandalorian learns how to ride a blurg, and then he finds a Baby Yoda, and the Baby Yoda is fucking adorable. And then he kills a robot, Taika Waititi, who's like, we have to kill this baby. And the Mandalorian's like, get fucked.
Wait, is that legit Taika Waititi?
Yeah, that voice for the...
IG-11?
Yeah, that's Taika Waititi's voice.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and he's like, fuck off, Taika. I want this baby. And Taika's like, self-destruct. So, yeah, thanks for laughing at that. So basically that happens, then they... the Mudhorn episode. Yeah, you can talk about the Mudhorn episode. We have to get that weird fucking egg. The hairy egg.
So, what happens after is that... so, the Mandalorian, and, like, that's his name. Like, we don't actually know his name. You know, he's either referred to as the Mandalorian or just as Mando. And so his mission was to find a baby, which is a member of Yoda's species.
But we don't know anything about them.
Yeah, we don't know anything about it. What happens is that he goes to a planet. It's assumed to be Tatooine because there are Jawas there. And so when the Mandalorian is bringing... I'm just going to call him Baby Yoda. When he's bringing Baby Yoda back, like, to his ship, he finds out that a bunch of Jawas have scrapped it. And Nick Nolte's character, who's an Ugnaught, and Ugnaughts are, like...
The pig
I guess
dudes.
you could call Ugnaughts space dwarves, because they're really good at, like, metallurgy and stuff, and engineering, too. But he's like, okay, like... Don't kill the Jawas, just bargain with them to get your stuff back. And Mandalorian's like, are you out of your damn mind? I'm not doing that.
He's like, I just want to vaporize all of them.
Yeah, really. And he did vaporize a few of them, but the Ugnaught Nick Nolte finally convinces the Mandalorian to do a favor for the Jawas, and the Jawas wanted...
a Mudhorn egg.
Yeah, a Mudhorn egg for... an inexplicable reason. And a Mudhorn is like it's basically like a gigantic hairy rhino, but it's one horn.
It reminds
like
me of the thing from Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, and so the Mandalorian brings Yoda with him because he doesn't trust the Jawas, and to like the Mudhorn cave, and steals one of its eggs, which is like really gross. And like the egg itself is hairy, and it was really gross, but I think that's really creative too.
A hairy egg?
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. And so unfortunately the Mandalorian like kind of what's I don't know, kind of like he alerts the Mudhorn to his presence, and like basically gets his shit shoved in by the Mudhorn, and like the Mudhorn like throws him off balance, like manages him to like get him to like drop his weapons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he would have died if Baby Yoda hadn't saved him. And it turns out that Baby Yoda
is Force sensitive.
Is very strong with the Force, and so technically speaking, Baby Yoda is 50, but for that species, that's like less than a year old. But
so it's like an infant.
Yeah, at that age, Baby Yoda is able to use the Force to lift like a 5 or 10,000 pound woolly rhino, and that's how like the Mandalorian figures out. Oh crap! No wonder why.
Werner Herzog,
evil German man. Yeah, Werner Herzog wants this kid because he's Force sensitive. But anyway, so he's a little freaked out, but he brings the eggs back to the Jawas, and then we find out the Jawas only want the egg because its contents gets them high.
Pretty much.
Yeah, they just wanted to get high, basically.
They needed a new dealer.
Yeah, they really did. And because of that, they get like all their stuff back, or like all the ship parts back, and then the Mandalorian and the Ugnaught repair the ship, and they go on their merry way, and that leads into episode 3.
Yeah, so episode 3,
Jon Favreau's in this episode, actually. I didn't know that when I first watched it.
Really?
He plays the Mandalorian who tries to kick the shit out of Mando.
Oh, like
the big guy.
Like, yeah, like with the minigun?
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's Jon Favreau's voice, but we'll get to that. So episode 3, Mando goes back to the bounty hunter planet and is like, "Sup, Carl Weathers, I'm back, what's up?" And then he's like, "I must give the baby to the fucking Werner Herzog." And then basically he does that, and then Mando's like, "What are you guys gonna do with that kid?" And the Werner Herzog's like, "Yo, that's not part of your job. Like, you're not really meant to ask questions. Fuck off." And he's like, "Here's all your earnings." And it's like legitimately a canister full of this Beskar, which is enough to make him a full suit of armor, which is like a huge rite of passage for a Mandalorian. So he takes it and he's like, "Damn, I feel kind of bad about that kid." But he goes to the Mandalorian like hidden temple thing, and he gets his armor crafted, and they're like, "This is pretty dope. What'd you defeat?" He's like, "A mudhorn, but I got some help, kinda." So he doesn't have like a sigil yet. And then one of the other Mandalorians is like, "Hey, dude, you're a prick." And then Mando's like, "Hey, man, that's not that nice." And then they get into this argument, but they're like, "It is the way. We shouldn't fight each other. Let's just kill other people." Essentially is the thesis of that.
Yeah, the aggressor in that scenario is apparently Jon Favreau.
Yeah, the aggressor's Jon Favreau. And then the Mandalorians are like, "This is the way. Like, we're still a team here, even though there's, like, infighting." But that's, like, any group. And then...
oh, yeah, and I also like how, like, the Forge Master or the Master of Arms is, like, the leader, too. Like, I think that's, like...
And it's a female.
Really, well, yeah, that, too, but...
and she's like, in charge.
Yeah, I like how it's not like a king or a chief. It's whoever makes the weapons is in charge.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool concept.
And it shows a lot about their culture, even if you don't realize it when you're watching it. There's like, it gives the culture a very specific feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And then, so what happens, what follows this is the fucking coolest sequence ever. Essentially, the Mandalorian goes straight up like Splinter Cell, James Bond, like one-man army killer mode in Werner Herzog's like hideout. So he like blows a hole in the wall to like create a diversion, and essentially just goes in and like single-handedly takes out so many stormtroopers with a myriad of different weapons, whether it be his little grappling hook thing on his wrist, the flamethrower, he torches someone, which is super cool. He uses this special Mandalorian Beskar weapon called like the hummingbirds. Mm-hmm. Or the whistling birds, which are like
that's what it was.
Yeah, they're like heat-seeking missiles, but there's a bunch of them that are built into his wrist, and it just essentially is like Yondu in Guardians of the Galaxy. It just like insta-kills a bunch of people. It's super cool. And then he finds the little baby Yoda who's in this like chamber thing with being monitored, and there's like the sniveling scientist who's like, "Don't hurt me." And then the Mandalorian's like, "I'm not here to hurt you. I want the kid." And the doctor scientist guy's like quivering in the corner, and he's like, "Ugh, pathetic." And then the Mandalorian escapes the facility or this like hideout, but then all the other like bounty hunters who are in this like planet by this bar and everything get the alert on their little fob that, oh shit, a bounty has come up, and everyone gets the same one. So they all turn on the Mandalorian, which is a really cool standoff scene. And then a bunch of the other like Mandalorians from his like tribe come in to have a pretty cool battle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, one of the like the power of friendship kind of moments in there was Jon Favreau's character was the one who most fiercely defended Mando. Yeah,
he did, and he's like, "Get out of here. We'll protect you. Like, it is the way. Like, we're always a team," which I really like. And then the episode ends with the Mandalorian and the little baby now like on the run together.
And with the intent of eventually reaching, I think basically of reaching Coruscant and like where the New Republic has been created. Oh yeah, by the way, worth mentioning, this entire show happens 5 years after
Return of the
episode
Jedi.
6. Yeah.
Yeah, that is probably good to
Probably
mention.
should have led with that.
Yeah, what time period the show is in. But yeah, so that's probably where he's heading and where like the first season probably will end, if I had to guess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're only 3 episodes into, like, I don't know how many episodes is, like 10 or something.
I thought you said that there were going to be like 10 episodes a season.
I think so. I
like
think it is
3
10
seasons.
Yeah, that's what they say right now, but you never know. It's Disney. They kind of control all of it, so they can make whatever rules they want. It's an in-house kind of thing. But no, it is really well done, and I'm super excited to see where it goes next, because now it's like this buddy cop kind of thing on the run, but it's also crazy how much emotion the Mandalorian shows without you ever seeing his face, and how a little puppet is like, you just get so attached to both of these characters, which is like a testament to good storytelling, good writing, good cinematography, good editing, good directing, and like great acting under like all that costume. It just shows how good the story really is, that you actually care about these characters and you can't see their faces.
Yeah, another thing, kind of going back to plugging in Star Wars Rebels and, I guess specifically Star Wars Rebels, but, the droid characters, all of them don't have faces, but, they just have, like, so much emotion in it, and there's R2-D2, but there's another, like, astromech droid character called Chopper in Star Wars Rebels, that, again, he doesn't have a face, he can't emote, but, like,
there's so much.
Yeah, and it's so well done.
Yeah, Star Wars is really good about that, and I do like that about... I know what you're talking about in that show, and I do like it in The Mandalorian, and it's the same with C-3PO and R2-D2, that you really, really get it. And then, like, in Rogue One, which is probably my favorite new Star Wars property, besides this, K2SO is the robot in that, and he's awesome.
Yeah, he really is.
He's like his death and then the blind guy are the two that got me.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. But
I agree, yeah. Oh, yeah, by the way, if you haven't figured it out already, we are disclosing serious spoilers of The Mandalorian.
Oh, yeah, spoiler alert, sorry.
I guess we should have led with that, too.
Yeah, spoilers. I'll put in the title, maybe.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, I really genuinely like the show, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I think they can do a lot with this, because it is like a quasi-Western kind of feel, but they could definitely do like a horror episode. They've done kind of action, but they can also do like different genres in this, and I'm super excited to see what happens. And I know episode 4 is directed by Bryce Dallas Howard.
Really?
Yes, episode 4, the one we haven't seen yet, is directed by Bryce Dallas Howard.
Wow, that I did not know she did directing work.
I mean, her dad does.
Well, yeah, that I know, Ron Howard.
Yeah,
but I didn't. Maybe this is like her trying her hand at directing. I'm looking forward to it.
She's done some writing for Black Mirror, I think, because she was in one of the episodes.
Okay, yeah, I think I kind of knew that.
I think she's done writing she has done some other development kind of work with stuff besides just acting, and I'm excited to see what her episode The Mandalorian looks like, because it's going to be different, especially like just coming from a different voice and perspective. I'm super amped to see it. And then the episodes apparently come out on Fridays. We were trying to figure out when they come out, Kyle.
Okay.
They come out on Friday afternoons.
So episode 5 then would be out
tomorrow.
Today's a Thursday, so tomorrow.
Yeah, so we can watch it tomorrow if you're free. I'm making plans on this podcast. Yeah, Kyle, if you're free or whatever, I'd love to watch them.
Okay, yeah, sweet.
Okay. But yeah, so that's The Mandalorian so far. Both of us really like it. I think you can tell we're both pretty big Star Wars people. I think Kyle may have said it on the show. I know for like long-time listeners or even short-term listeners, my biggest fandom or my biggest investment in my time as a fan is definitely with Tolkien and Lord of the Rings. But Star Wars is probably second-ish. I like Harry Potter a lot as well. Star Wars, Harry Potter. I love Indiana Jones. I do like Star Trek, but Lord of the Rings is definitely the pinnacle for me.
Yeah. For me, it's funny you mentioned this because I was actually like thinking recently, like, where would I rate like my fandoms? I would say that Avatar: The Last Airbender and / Legend of Korra would be number one because that's probably the two property or like the two shows like I engage with the most. Second is Star Wars. Third is Tolkien.
Very cool. Yeah, so similar-ish kind of things, but I mean, with those, when you're a big enough fan of all the things that you mentioned and I mentioned, you can talk to pretty much anybody about them and be like fluent in the conversation.
Oh yeah, totally.
And yeah, I mean,
one more thing about like how I don't know how faithful like the Mandalorian is to like source material. I could be wrong, so if someone knows better, please comment. But the concept of the Beskar metal was introduced in the video game Knights of the Old Republic, like the Beskar armor set or something like that.
Really?
Because the whole plot of Knights of the Old Republic was basically, in a nutshell, it's basically the story of the very first Sith Lord, who was named Darth Revan, and then his apprentice Darth Malak. And it's an RPG, and the backdrop for the thing was that there was a gigantic war between the Mandalorians and like the rest of the Old Republic. And it takes place like 5,000 years before like the main trilogy. Anyway, so and like Beskar is like an armor set or a type of metal you can use to create armor in it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's like definitely a what I like to call a Kyle fact, because that's a thing that you would know about as a fan. Because you know those very specific
the thing only
things
I would notice, but everyone else wouldn't give two shits about.
But whenever I like am playing a game or doing something new, especially with like The Witcher, it'll be hey Kyle, I ran into this thing in this game. Can you tell me more about this? Because I'm really confused.
I would know exactly what it is.
And Kyle will go into a dissertation style speech about this specific thing, and I'm like, thank you, Kyle. You answered my question along with every other question I've had about this. But speaking of which, I've been playing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. It's so fun.
Really?
It is punishingly difficult. It's like Dark Souls meets Uncharted meets Tomb Raider meets The Force Unleashed is what it is.
Oh okay.
So tomorrow we'll play. It's really fun.
Okay, yeah, totally.
Yeah. So for those of you listening, if you're listening on Friday, the day this is getting aired, just know that if you're listening in the afternoon, Kyle and I are probably hanging out playing Star Wars. So let that be known. But yeah, Kyle, before we wrap up, is there anything else that you have?
I read it a few weeks ago for the first time, Wolverine Old Man Logan.
It is so good, right?
It is so good, yeah.
Dude, I told you.
It's just like, it's so brutal and like just so Wolverine. And it's a really good story, and I recommend whoever. And the movie Logan is very loosely inspired by it.
Yeah, there's similar-ish aspects, but it is not it's like not really a direct adaptation.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's really good.
Yeah, it is really good.
I've been so close to spoiling that book for you for so long, because like that's one of those comics that I really love. And you're like, I have Old Man Logan, I haven't started yet. And I've almost been like, oh, dude, the part where this and this happens. And I'm like, fuck, I can't say that. Because Kyle's going to be like, you dick, why'd you spoil the end? Or why'd you spoil this giant plot point?
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty awesome, though.
There's a dinosaur in it and stuff. It's cool.
Oh, yeah, there is. Because it's not just a Wolverine thing. Like, it's like the entire Marvel universe with Wolverine as the protagonist.
Well, the entire Marvel universe for the first few panels, and then they wind up to be dead.
But what I'm saying though is that like there's a point in the movie where Wolverine wears Iron Man's armor to fly back to his home.
Exactly.
And,
like it is. Yeah,
he
it's
uses
very intertwined.
Captain America's shield as a weapon.
Yeah, and Red Skull's in it. It's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, definitely 100% recommend. It's a good read. That and Watchmen are two definite must reads right now that are from me. That's like my recommendation for today.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, how are we on time? Like, how long have we been doing this?
1 hour, 9 minutes, and 40 seconds.
Oh, okay. I was about to say, because this is a really good long road trip episode, because we it's longer than what we normally do.
Yeah. If you're listening to this in the car and you haven't already killed yourself because you're listening to this, thank you. Thank you for making it this far. Kyle and I won it.
Texting and driving.
Exactly. Kyle, you know what we should do? Okay. This is what we're going to do. We'll have to find a good property that people can find easily. But what we're going to do, maybe tomorrow, but coming up, I want to record a commentary episode. So what I want to do, I think we've talked about this in the past, or maybe we've just talked about this in person, because Kyle and I are friends outside of this. But we would essentially start the episode and say, okay, at 1 minute and blank seconds, this is when the movie starts. And then we'd be like, okay, the opening crawl is now. So you can sync up. Mm-hmm. And then we just talk. And then, like, when you're watching the movie, it's almost like you're just watching it with director's commentary on, except it's two idiots.
Yeah. A really good idea, Russell, to get our mutual friend in on this. I'm not going to say his name just in case he says no to doing it. But our mutual friend, who we hang out with, I hang out with all the time. You hang out with periodically when your schedules sync up.
Okay. Now I know who you're talking about.
Okay, yeah. So, anyway,
does he listen to this?
I think it'd be a really good idea to get him in on it, because basically the only thing me and him do is watch TV shows. Ironically,
yeah.
And I don't know. I think there's really good banter in the works there that people would like to hear.
Does he listen to this?
No, I think he knows I do it, but I don't think he actually listens. I don't know, maybe we're wrong.
Okay, well, if he does listen to this, hey man, thanks for listening. If not, you know who you are if you are listening to this after the fact. Thanks for fucking not listening to my show, dick. I'm just kidding. You're a good guy. You're really busy. You're like in medical school or something. So, good for you.
And again, I just didn't want to say his name in case...
He's not cool with it. That's why I didn't say his
name.
name.
Yeah, he's not cool with it, yeah. So, anyway.
Just kidding. We love you, though.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's definitely something I really want to do is a longer form kind of commentary episode that you can listen to kind of like a podcast if you're just listening to it and you don't have access to whatever it is that we pick. Or if you do have that thing that we pick and you want to listen to us just like kind of talk alongside it, that's cool too. And I think it would just be a fun way for a little bit longer. So like someone's on a plane or something like that. Because I have had friends say, oh, I was on a flight and I only was able to download one podcast, or I listened to only like yours and like one other one. So like if someone really likes the soothing dulcet sounds of our voices for a longer amount of time, we should definitely do that. And it would just be a really fun way for us to just essentially dick it around and hear ourselves talk.
Yeah, basically.
But yeah, so apart from that, is there anything before we do another recording? Potentially tomorrow, because we'll watch the next 2 episodes of Mandalorian. But I do have to subjugate you to 9 hours of Watchmen.
Honestly, that's cool. I like Watchmen.
It's really good. Also, guys, read the book Watchmen, or if you have the the digital novel version, it's like an audio book, but there's also animated comic panels. It's really cool. I think it's on YouTube.
It's a fast way to read the book because I love Watchmen to death. It's an awesome read, but it takes forever to read.
It's very dense.
It's so dense with text, especially.
Yeah, it is incredibly dense. There's parts of it that are like reading a textbook.
It is. Like there are certain portions where you quite literally are reading a novel.
Yeah, and it's like size 1 font.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, apart from that, is there anything else you have, Cal? I
think that's all I have, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to sign myself off, and then Kyle, you finish out the show. So you tell people that you're going to be the last thing they hear. Hey guys, I'm Russell. You've been listening to me on this show. It's called Nothing and Everything. I'm signing off. I'm going to let Kyle finish it, The ball's in your court, Kyle.
Russell, I always sucked at sports. This is a bad idea. Yeah, thanks for watching. We're signing off now, and we hope that your presence is known on our next podcast. I don't know how to do this, Russell.
Kyle, that was the best thing that's ever been said on this show. Bye.
Okay, so yeah, if you find a way to let us know that you're watching,
tap on my window.
Yeah, throw a rock at our window, and we'll know.
Yeah, we'll know. We'll be like, oh, someone listening. Sick.
Nice.
Okay.
And then we find out there's only like 2 people out there, like, oh, that's disheartening.
But they're like, yo, you're pretty cool. We're like, thanks.
In this weird made up cool back. It's just thanks.
In this weird scenario, Kyle and I live in the same bedroom.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, and this is Kyle signing off.